What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021, my team career mode for season 4, round number 15, the penultimate episode, the penultimate round of this season, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We're back once again at Jeddah to see if we can keep going with this title fight. As you can see here, we are currently sitting 4 points behind Leclerc in the championship. Realistically, myself and Leclerc are the only ones still in this championship fight. I think Russell is within the amount of points that he needs to be technically, viable for this championship, but realistically it's going to take a lot for him to do that, so it is really between me and Leclerc here. So originally I was thinking I might take a grid penalty for this race because my energy store system is getting pretty worn, but Leclerc hasn't taken a single grid penalty this whole season, probably mainly because he hasn't had a single reliability issue. He hasn't had a mechanical failure all season, and yeah, he just hasn't needed to take a grid penalty, so I don't really want to do that either because that's going to put me on the back foot. So where I think we're going to just try and make this energy store last till the end of the season. My internal combustion engine is also getting a bit low. It's going to be pretty worn by the last race, so I think we're going to be potentially running some fairly worn, not crazy worn, but some fairly worn parts at Abu Dhabi next time out. But I think if we want a shot at this title, we're going to have to go for it. Unless Leclerc takes a grid penalty here, then maybe we can take a grid penalty in Abu Dhabi, maybe, but I don't really like doing that in the very last race of the season. Now we get through to Q3, no problem at all here. To be fair, my laps weren't actually that great, but I do just about get through it. I mean, it's P4 and P6 for Russell and myself respectively, so pretty decent. And as we go onto the Q3 lap here, fastest lap that I did in Q3, of course, and the one that is going to give us our qualifying time. This track is very punishing, very demanding. It is, of course, a ridiculously fast track, but it's also quite scary. It is, of course, a street circuit, barriers very close on each side. I mean, it's got a bit of runoff. It's not like Monaco in the fact that it doesn't really have any runoff anywhere. It does have a decent amount of runoff, but you have to get very close to the barriers and at crazy speeds to get a good lap time here. So in a lot of ways, I don't struggle with this, I think, as much as I do with Monaco, but it's definitely, I mean, nailing a lap here is very, very satisfying, although it is rather terrifying to nail a lap here. So yeah, we're going along here. Things have been going pretty well this lap. It's been a decent enough lap. That corner there is very scary. I actually brake a little bit earlier than what the game tells me to, because if you brake where it tells you to, you just end up running wide. So I brake a little bit earlier, get the turn in early, and that seems to work out well for me. This final corner here can also be a little bit deceptive of where to brake, but you get round the final hairpin back onto the main straight and we power towards the line, and we actually go on pole position, but it ends up being P3, but P3 is still very good. We beat our teammate George Russell. He's all the way down in there in P9, but more crucially, Charles Leclerc, our championship rival, is in P9, so he's down the back of the top 10. This should be interesting.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. Unlike many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. They must be starting to feel the pressure at this point, and surely. There's a real shot at the title on the cards here, but one error at the wrong time, well, that could throw it all away.
Of course, there's never a good time to make mistakes, but it will feel 10 times worse if it happens at such a critical point of the season. Let's hope this contest is settled where it should be, on track, wheel to wheel.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Antonio Giovinazzi put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Shaw, Perez, Lando Norris and Sainz, Hamilton, Leclerc, Joe and Pierre Gasly, Tsunoda, Stroll, Christian Lundgaard and Ocon, Vettel, Eilert, George Russell, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Fernando Alonso, Latifi, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nobuharu Matsushita. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Alright, so P3 on the grid for the final time in Jeddah, but this isn't the final round of the championship. We have one more to go as we get underway for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's a decent enough start for us, a decent start for the pole sitter and Verstappen in second, as well as we actually have a little look around the outside of Verstappen in through turn 1, turn 2. Verstappen was actually having a little look at Giovinazzi as well, but we all go through there single file. There might be a little bit of a battle behind though, as you see Perez and Sainz switching positions in the top left there. Perez got a, well, I guess Sainz actually got a good start there from where he was on the grid, and as we continue through here, no DRS on lap 1 of course, but at the moment Giovinazzi leading this race from Verstappen in second, myself still hanging on to third, then you've got Perez fourth and Carlos Sainz in fifth. Not sure who's, it's actually Leclerc who has already got up to 6th. He actually ended up starting 8th because my teammate George Russell has taken a grid penalty after a pretty poor qualifying for P8. Considering we're up in P3, he takes a power unit change, I suppose, because he had a little bit of an issue last time out. Didn't retire from the race in Australia, but definitely had an issue which pulled him out of the points. So he's obviously had to take a grid penalty because of that. We're continuing on here, just keeping behind Verstappen, a little bit under pressure from Perez behind, but you can just see the rest of the field all coming through behind. And our main race here isn't with the two cars in front, it's not even with the two cars behind, it is with Charles Leclerc, and he has got a decent start. Of course, started P8 because of Russell's grid penalty. He's now up to P6, so he's made 2 positions off the start, and of course 1 position because of that grid penalty. So it's a decent enough start for him. He doesn't have to beat me here to stay in front, but it could get quite close. As on lap number 3, we're now trying to defend from Perez. We've lost a little bit of time to the cars ahead and are just slightly falling into the clutches of the cars behind, but we're just trying to keep within DRS because DRS is big here. If we don't stay within DRS of Verstappen in front, then we're just going to lose so much time because it's such a vital part of this track. As now, coming on to lap number 4, Verstappen still behind Giovinazzi, but he's got DRS and he's going to go for the move round the outside going into turn 1, and Verstappen takes the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He hasn't won a race this season. That's just crazy for me to think that 15 races in and Verstappen hasn't won a race. His teammate Lando Norris has won 2 races this season. I'm not actually sure if Verstappen's won a race with McLaren at all. He may have won a couple last season, I can't remember, but definitely hasn't won a race this season. So he's looking to, although he's not in the championship fight, he's looking to at least get a win or something this season as he now leads the way, and we're still behind these guys, but we've got Perez and Sainz behind putting pressure on. George Russell here making moves through the field after his grid penalty. He's now making a move on one of the Alpines. I'm not 100% sure which, not Alpine, sorry, Alfa Romeo. I think that might be Callum Ilott, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't see the numbers. Cars are going past far too quickly there, but he is making his way around the outside. A nice little battle there with the Alfa Romeo, but he makes the position, and now the Alfa is under pressure from Fernando Alonso in the Williams there. He's having a little look, and just a few corners round from that point, Alonso is going for a move on who I think is, I'm pretty sure it's Callum Ilott, but he doesn't quite get the move done there. Very, very scary stuff. A few laps later, and Verstappen still leading the way. He would lead the way for a couple more laps, but DRS is such a big thing, especially on this front straight here for the car in second place. And of course, Giovinazzi is now going to go back for the move once again on the leader with Max Verstappen there, and he goes, but they're now side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. That allows us to catch a bit up as well, but we just can't quite do anything. Giovinazzi actually having a little look around what I guess is turn 3, maybe turn 4, but he can't make anything happen at that point in time, and he's just going to have to settle for P2 at the moment. but once again, he's going to be looking right at the back here. We've actually got a pretty good run, but those guys going defenses, we just have absolutely nowhere to go as Giovinazzi once again dives around the outside of turn 1, inside for turn 2, and now they're going to be side by side as they head through to turn, I guess this is probably turn 4, isn't it? Giovinazzi around the outside, and he gets the move done back into the race lead for the pole sitter Antonio Giovinazzi. Verstappen will have to settle for second for now, but I'm sure this battle will continue. And further back, we also have another battle between Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri and Guan Yu Zhou in the Mercedes. Sorry, my dog is digging outside, making a lot of noise. I'm sorry if you can hear that. A little bit distracted from that, but Gasly trying to defend from the Mercedes driver. He's just about managed to do it at the moment, but now Zhou is going to try and go round the outside of the next corner, and he gets that position done. So a nice little battle heating up for these two here, and I think just behind them, the other Mercedes and AlphaTauri of Tsunoda and Hamilton are also having a battle. As this battle at the front still rages on now, Verstappen going for the move back on Giovinazzi again. They go side by side through the first chicane with me just sniffing around in the background. The two Ferraris and Perez in the other Red Bull also side by side, but further back with, I think that's Lando Norris and the other McLaren at the back of that train. And now Verstappen managed to get back into the lead again. Lap number 10 here. We're just sticking with these guys. With them battling, we can just stick with them, but we are bringing Perez, Sainz and Leclerc with us as well. And now Perez actually pretty close to the back of us here, but we seem to have pretty good pace in this part of the track. We go a little bit wide into that corner. That is going to cost us a bit of time, but thankfully it's not going to be a big issue. On lap number 11, we come into the pits with Giovinazzi. Verstappen has gone one lap earlier, so we're going to go the lap later, potentially try and get an overcut on these guys. We come out just behind Giovinazzi. We actually almost jumped him in the pits there. Pretty good pit stop from my team, but don't quite get it done. We come out between myself and, we come out between Giovinazzi and Sainz. Giovinazzi, though, out of the pits, is now going for a move once again on Verstappen, and he's managed to get the move done. That was a very, very brave, bold maneuver there. Didn't get the undercuts, or the overcut, sorry, in the pits, but managed to get the pace out of the pits and out of that corner to have a go at him through the next one. Charles Leclerc here is still kind of stuck at the back of this train. He's got his teammate Carlos Sainz. Now, you'd think if this was real life, team orders would be playing into effect here, because Leclerc is the championship leader. Sainz is well out of the championship, and you know, it's looking pretty set at the moment, although we are all in a train together, that I'm going to score better than Leclerc, but Ferrari really should be giving him the preference so he can get the most points, kind of damage limitations on myself. But this battle at the front is still going on almost every lap. These guys 2 by 2, and we just can't quite do anything. We just get boxed in and we're just sat there really just behind them. Of course, this is a rather tight street circuit, not a lot of room to play with, and we just have to watch and wait behind. But as we come through this corner here, through that chicane, this is the part of the track where I'm really strong. I deploy a lot of VRS, and we actually catch right up to the back of Giovinazzi because we're closer than we've been before. And we're going to have a look up the inside into this very, very fast corner. It's very, very tight, but we just about managed to get the position, and we keep both cars on the track, don't make contact either. But now he's going to have the DRS coming down this next part. There's just an absolute swarm of 5 cars coming down into the hairpin. Giovinazzi's got past with DRS. Now Carlos Sainz is on the outside of the hairpin, but we can just about stay ahead of him. And now Giovinazzi doesn't have DRS. We do, and we're going to come back at him again into turn 1, round the outside. This is an amazing battle here as we go into turn 1, little bit too deep, but that just helps us defend and keep the position, and we're up into P2. But unfortunately, with that squabble between myself and Giovinazzi, Verstappen's now got over a second ahead, so now I don't have DRS on him. And now, as we come through here, up to the first hairpin corner, Giovinazzi is trying to go round the outside of the hairpin. I make sure to give him room, but then when I realise he's not quite alongside anymore, squeeze him out of space, and we just continue on here. It's going to be very, very tense for these next few laps, I imagine, and Verstappen's just going to keep getting away now because he has good pace, and with us battling and him being out of DRS range, he can now pull away at the front, because now at the end of this lap, Giovinazzi going for a move around the outside of me, and it's a fairly easy one. I somewhat try and keep my nose there, but he's just a little bit too far ahead, and he's not going to give me any space there, which he's not really inclined to because he was already past, and he gets up ahead. And as you can see here, Verstappen's gap is not massive, but it is just over a second, and we're going to go for a big dive bomb up the inside of Giovinazzi into the final hairpin there. Pretty awesome spectacle, but perhaps not the smartest move by me, because now I don't have DRS, and he's just going to come straight back at me as we go down to turn 1. Carlos Sainz also there sniffing around in the background. We managed this time to stay side by side, but we just can't hold on, trying to go round the outside of turn 2, and we're actually getting a great run out of turn 2, and now we're on the outside going into turn 3, turn 4, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go round the outside, and although I got the move done, I don't feel like that was really fair. I did slightly go off the track to get that move done, so I let him pass as we come into the hairpin there. Don't really defend that too well. Actually come under attack from Sainz a little bit in that whole scenario, and now we're going to try and, because I could have just carried on there, but I felt like that move was not particularly sportsmanlike, so we gave the position back. We'll try and get it back in a more fair manner. And this is a good place to do it, because once again we get DRS down towards the final hairpin. We're right behind him. He opens up a gap, but he then closes the gap right in front of me. That is moments from disaster, but we're still there. We've managed to just about keep our foot in it. We're going to go round the outside of the hairpin, maybe slightly tag the wall with the wheels there. It's side by side coming down the front straight. Giovinazzi has the DRS. We do not. Carlos Sainz there is going to look to make it 3 wide into turn 1. Giovinazzi's through. Sainz is through as well. That has cost us dearly, and now we're down from 2nd to 4th place as Giovinazzi and Sainz now side by side. Sainz has got 2nd place at the moment, but Giovinazzi is going to try and go round the outside once again there. Just about stays on the track and keeps that position, but we're now down to 4th, and we're going to have to fight our way now through Carlos Sainz to get back through the podium. That was a terrifying moment there, because Giovinazzi, he left a bit of a room, left a gap, but then just closed the gap completely on me and nearly ended in a massive shunt, as now Carlos Sainz going up the inside, and we go for a massive dive bomb round the outside. Those guys braked way earlier than I was expecting them to. Very, very nearly made contact, but it was a fair move. We didn't make contact. We went round the outside. We stayed on the track, and we got the position. Giovinazzi, though, next lap round is going to come back at us. Sainz, unfortunately, got a little bit of wing damage from that little tussle with Giovinazzi into turn 1, so he is now dropping outside of the point. So it's now very much just a battle for 2nd with only myself and Antonio Giovinazzi. We defend on this lap, and as we see further back, Carlos Sainz, the lead Ferrari at the moment, is slow because he's got front wing damage. Charles Leclerc is trying to make the most of this. He's got past his teammate, he's got past Perez as well, so now Leclerc finds himself in P4, pretty much right behind myself, who I'm currently sitting, I think, in P2, but Perez is going to come back at Leclerc again. You've got Zhou in the Mercedes sniffing around there as well. Perez manages to get back up into 4th place. Leclerc is now fighting with Guan Yu Zhou in the Mercedes. Pierre Gasly is right there behind them as well. These guys have managed to catch up to this group as Zhou manages to do the same thing that Giovinazzi's done a couple of times this race and get that move done up into P5. So that's Leclerc now back down to P6. The battles continue here. Lap number 22, we go defensive into the hairpin. Giovinazzi is going to try once again to go round the outside of the hairpin, but this time he gets better traction and he's made the move stick. That is a beautiful overtake from Antonio Giovinazzi. He gets up back into P2. Once again, Verstappen now is almost 4.5 seconds up the road in the lead, so the win's pretty much gone here, but it's a battle for P2 with myself and Giovinazzi. Lap 23, we managed to get round the outside into turn 1, so we're back up here, but I think this is going to be jockeying for positions for the rest of this race. We've got a big gap to Verstappen in front and a decent gap to Perez and I think Leclerc and Zhou in front, behind, but this battle here is going to last the rest of the race as we come now onto the final lap of the Grand Prix. We are currently in 2nd place, but Giovinazzi has the DRS. He's close enough. He goes up the inside. We, for some reason, decided to defend the outside. We then make him go defensive to the inside into turn 1, but can't quite get anything done. He just puts his car in the perfect place, and unfortunately I had a bit of a scrappy final lap here, and in the end we're not going to be able to attack Giovinazzi once again. We're going to have to settle for P3 here, but it's good because we've rather convincingly beat Leclerc. That's the main thing we wanted to do. Max Verstappen wins finally his first race of this season. Giovinazzi comes home for P2, we come home for P3. I think Leclerc ended up P6, so a bit of a swing in the title fight here. This is going to be an epic showdown when it comes to Abu Dhabi next time out.
They've delivered an outstanding performance today and under intense pressure to take a well-earned victory here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So there we go, Max Verstappen finally wins his first race of the season. He wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Antonio Giovinazzi comes home for P2, and we unfortunately kind of have to settle for P3, but it's still good for our championship battle because Leclerc, he finishes in P6, he doesn't manage to get back past Guan Yu Zhou, so that's very unfortunate for him. It means he is going to slightly drop in this championship, but it's still very much all to play for because now going into the final round at Abu Dhabi, we lead the championship by 3 points to Charles Leclerc in second place. So this final round is literally, it is pretty much whoever comes out, whoever wins, whoever beats the other person next race wins the championship. Also, Verstappen and Giovinazzi moving up places as well. And TGL Motorsport, we managed to secure the Constructors' Championship. We've finally done it. We've won the Constructors' Championship here. That is awesome to see. So now we've just got to make it 2 championships with the Drivers' Championship next time out. And also Mercedes make their way up to P5. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.